Good morning.
Your ice cold Java Monster.
Oh, thank you very much.
Anything else?
No, I'm definitely good. All I'm ever worried about is the gas, and
The gas?
obviously with the issue with my car, it'll probably take a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping I don't have to take off the gas tank and all that. I'm not actually able to do that. I'll have to find somebody who can help with that and
Yeah.
a place to do it. And obviously with no friends or family in the area, it's not like I got any favors.
Oh, I don't have any friends or family. I mean, I have friends and family in the area, but they don't care.
Right?
They don't care about you or me.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Every once in a while, somebody will start texting me and contacting me regularly, and then I'll just ask them for money, and then they'll just immediately stop. It's a perfect way to get people to quit bugging you. All you have to do is go, "Hey man, could you wire me $50 Western Union?" As soon as you do that, they ghost you like you're. Yeah.
I ask them to use their voices. That's a quicker way to get ghosted. You tell them, you know what? I'm sick of your shit.
You know what? I would really appreciate if somebody would do that for me. You know, like say, do you mind? We could have a conversation. I can record it. That'd be cool. I'd be up for that. Somebody recorded me one time, and I was like, "You can't. If you put that on YouTube, I will come back and find you." And then I did my Liam Neeson voice. So.
I tell everybody I record all the time, even if I'm not recording. Most of the time, and I tell everybody this, if I'm not recording, I'll apologize, which a lot of times I'll forget to apologize, and then people think that I recorded stuff, and they'll come back later and they'll go, "Hey man, you remember I was telling you about such and such? Well, now I'm having court problems." And they're claiming I wasn't trying to get help. I'm like, yeah, I still got the recording. But then, of course, later on, if I don't have the recording, they get angry with me because I didn't tell them that I didn't apologize that I wasn't recording. Or I tell them, hey, I need a place where I can actually set up my computer. It'll take at least 6 to 8 hours to find what you're looking for. If you can help me find a place to do that, then yeah, I can get you that. But then there's the ones who, when I tell them I record everything, they think I'm kidding with them. They think I'm joking with them. And then they say things they probably shouldn't. And then they realize they said things they probably shouldn't, thinking that I was joking. And I'm like, no, I record for a reason. When Nick starts having an episode, I start recording like immediately.
Yeah.
If he's having a real bad episode, I know that it could potentially turn worse.
Oh, yeah.
There's people like, Robert Farnsworth here. When he's having his good days, he's having good days. But when he's not, it's really bad. So I make sure it's recorded. That guy who wanted to accuse me of being a pedophile and a murderer and all that shit, assaulted me over there at the library, assaulted me here at Safeway, assaulted me over there.
They got cameras here, don't they?
They do. They got cameras all over the place. But again, I'm a homeless dude. When I go tell them what's going on, they don't treat it as if I was a woman who was just violated in their parking lot or insulted. They actually kind of do. That's something that I've gotten to see. Yeah.
Tillamook, that's good. Cowtown, yeah, protect their herd.
Yep, I've seen a couple of women go in there.
I just see mostly homeless justice.
Yes. But the homeless justice here isn't homeless justice. It's not like it was in Boulder, Colorado. It ain't like it was in Ithaca. Homeless justice here is who's got the fucking drugs. All right, he's got drugs. Well, then he's our friend.
Yeah, the drugs are that way. I saw a guy overdose there in the parking lot over there at the museum yesterday. They came and got him. At least he was alive when they put him in the back of the ambulance. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's an everyday thing here. And this is a small town, like for them, they got whammed with it hard.
Yeah.
They're having overdoses literally every day here.
Yeah. White people are partial to the overdosing though.
That's very true.
Because every white person I've ever met that does drugs thinks they can do more than they need to do.
Yes.
Or take 2. You mean that for me? That's 3 or 4. Because I just stepped into the phone booth and changed into Superman, who could handle the whatever's in there. I can handle it. Don't worry. Okay.
Yep. Then they find them passed out in the bathroom at Lily and A. Goodspeed Park. Except they're not always passed out.
Right.
Sometimes they're still using.
Yeah.
Like you were pointing out yesterday.
Oh, well, that's just natural. I always, whenever I go into a restroom that's public, I kind of open it and see if I can smell chemicals. I don't go in right away. And I just hold the door open to try to let all that stuff out, because there's some people that are ultra sensitive.
Rolling papers. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You forgot rolling papers?
It always registers to me that I have not gone down to Corner Market yet, or Center Market yet, and gotten rolling papers. They're like $4 a pack here.
How much are they over there?
2.
That's better.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did
Well,
find
why
a
don't you
full
go get your rolling
cigarette.
papers?
Oh, I'm not gonna go get them. I'm gonna sit here for a bit because my car is. I don't want it being as messed up as it is, but it is. Ain't nothing I can do if the cops aren't gonna do their jobs, and they're not gonna do their jobs unless someone helps me to turn in the crimes committed against me. And people's advice: just move on, move somewhere else.
One thing about this town, I found that now the people in safe, like the people that work there, they're not following me around anymore, because I've been in there enough to, they know I'm not giving them my backpack. The lady was like, oh, you have to leave that here if you want to use the bathroom. I'm like, well, then I'll just pee on the side of the building. She's like, here's the code. So I was like, yeah.
No, I was reflecting last night on the fact that a lot of times when it's late at night, there's tweakers that are parked in the parking lot. Yesterday, I needed help getting my car started because I used too much electricity charging my phones. I had to go ask a couple of local known tweakers if they'd help me start my car. Of course, then that makes it look like I'm engaged in drug activity.
Oh, yeah.
That's another reason I record everything. And most of the drug addicts around here are pretty honest about it. Yeah.
I was hitchhiking through the Bay Area, and I was in the wrong part of San Jose. I don't know how I ended up there. I think it was a bus or something, but anyway. This Hispanic dude picked me up. Didn't speak a word of English. He was like, here, I'm going to take you to the end of the barrio, and you can get out and be safe. Bye-bye. Right now. Bye-bye, abuelo.
Yeah. Something similar happened when I lived in Huntington Beach, California. I got on a bus to go to Los Angeles. I don't remember what it was I was going there for, but I definitely got off in the wrong neighborhood. And a whole bunch of black parents come out of their house, like 6 or 7 of them, basically to escort the scrawny little white boy over to the bus stop and make sure I got on the right goddamn bus.
Yeah, you don't want to be here.
You know?
And that was in the daytime.
It was in the daytime.
Exactly.
I got there at like 9:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't been there 5 minutes before somebody's mom come out and was talking to me. She said, hey, what's your name? I said, my name's Sean. What's yours? She said, that doesn't matter, honey. I need you to come here. I'm like, oh my God, what's she gonna do to me?
That's right.
What the hell did I do? And she says, all right, now, honey, I need you to stay close to me. All right, you just stand right there next to me. And she called over one of the neighbors, flagged him over, and he started escorting me. And
That's right.
pretty soon I had like 6 of them and a few of their kids walking,
Making sure you were all right.
making sure I got to the bus station all right. I was like probably 13, I think. So I mean, I was tall enough that I was old enough to be targeted.
I was old enough to be targeted.
And I was alone, which meant I probably.
So there was 2 things, and she figured it out right away. You weren't there to buy any drugs.
Yeah.
So you must have got off the wrong bus.
There's a scrawny white kid in our neighborhood. We have bars on our windows to scare off the neighbors from trying to break into our house. So that thing is definitely out of place. One of these things is not like the others. One of these things just is not the same.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna go have some breakfast. I got some hot water over there. I'm gonna have some soup and wake up.
Well, you was right about not driving it out of town. It got worse almost as soon as we got back here too. So
that's good that you didn't drive it out. Yeah, that was a smart call.
I was wanting to go out there anyway, and I'm like, if it's just me, I can make it. And then when you were like, yeah, it's probably not gonna make it out there. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
The same thing.
All
right, I'll talk to you later, man.
Be safe.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Hey, no problem, man.
Hey, if you ever want to sit down and tell your story on my channel, I'll let you.
All right. Yeah.
The fact that you were usually like a random engagement while I'm already making a recording is a little different. Like, that's a lot different than you telling your story.
Right. Yeah, I don't mind. I like telling. I've shared my story a couple times. And, so, yeah, it's a good thing. All righty.
He brought me a Monster Java. It's a pretty good breakfast. I do need to go get some rolling papers, but my back is hurting too much to drive, let alone walk all the way there. Problem is, I still got a shit ton of energy, just my body doesn't want me to do nothing with it. I used to burn off all that excess energy with manual labor, but now I can't do manual labor. It's fucking crazy. Having to depend on people, but they don't understand that you're dependent on people because you're fucked up. And I don't mean like fucked up on drugs, I mean physically messed up. And a lot of people think I just want to get money out of these fucking pieces of shit that harm me, but that's not it. They need to be stopped from harming others. And hell yes, I'd love to get at least some of the money that's been taken from me recovered. Hell, I'd like to have a safe place of my own where I can lay down the ground rules. Where I can tell people no. Where people can't bully me into doing whatever they want by putting my evidence at risk. Y'all are some fucked up people, but you ain't figured out yet how to shut me up. And the funny thing about that is I told you exactly what you got to do to shut me up. You got to put me in the ground. If you ain't got the balls for it, don't say it. If you're gonna say it to me, don't whine like a bitch if I say it back. You're all fucking shitty people in your own right. I get to hear the judge not lest ye be judged bullshit from a bunch of people who are passing judgment. They like passing judgment, but don't like being judged back. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the world. It ain't just Christians. There's a lot of nice people, and not every nice person is a used car salesman, but most of them are. Most of them can't see past their own worries. Most of their worries here in the United States come from expenses. I got my own addictions. I'm addicted to tobacco. I'm out of rolling papers, so I'm smoking out of a pipe. I did get a couple of cigarettes earlier from one of the folks who works here, which was nice of them. I explain to people that I'm always recording, and I'll apologize if I'm not. I don't always do that, though. I try to. There are a few times where I was sure I was recording and it just was doing that connection issue thing. And that's part of the reason I apologize too, is because sometimes, I may intend on recording stuff. What you're saying is important. It's important that it's documented. Well, that's about the last of my dry tobacco. Oh, shit. I think I'm gonna turn off the recording and between the abuse from them youngins last night before, a couple of nights before that, getting lit on fire, having people beat on my vehicle. At least it's shit I'm used to. I just don't think anybody should have to get used to that kind of shit. Craig was pretty insistent when he showed up this morning on getting me something. One thing I noticed about neurotypicals is that they don't know how to love right. They don't know how to be honest. And that's a sad thing to know. It's an even more sad thing to be a victim of that, to see your loved ones be victims of that. There's a lot of people that did real messed up stuff to me in my life that I still care about. That doesn't mean they didn't do messed up stuff. A lot of people made mistakes, and that wasn't as big of a problem as they had it in their own heads. But it became that big of a problem because they didn't admit it. A lot of people promised that they'd come forward about what they knew. Promised they'd come forward about the fact that I went to them for help. But when they didn't do that, it made it real difficult to trust them. It's hard to trust somebody that's not telling the truth. Then there's, of course, people trying to reword everything I say, twist things into something they ain't. That fucking bullshit with the Bollingers needed to fucking stop. And not one of my friends, and not one fucking police officer, not one therapist, ever lifted a goddamn finger to put a stop to it. Instead, what they want to do is play stupid, like they don't know how to turn anything in. They want to claim that we're friends, but literally just ignore me while I go through hell. While I actually reach out to them for help. And then I get to, well, why didn't you ask me? I fucking did, dumbass. Don't you remember? Oh yeah, you were too busy. You're always too busy. When it's a man who's being victimized, every one of you are always too busy. You just don't fucking care. That goes for men and women. Shirley, you'll give us a sandwich. And even though we may be grateful for the sandwich, at the end of the day, that sandwich is just an excuse that you're going to use later on. Oh, remember I fed you? Yeah, I remember. And I remember telling you, you know what? I'm afraid you're going to throw this in my face later. Shannon Alvarado is a prime example of that. She promised to help how I needed, but she didn't end up helping how I needed, did she? She didn't end up helping how she promised she would. And of course, I'm a guy, so that means that it's my fault that it happened. Isn't that what it means to the rest of y'all? There's a story that I was reading about. It's a scientific study. It's called The Ambiguous Story. Now, in this story, it tells you there's a man and a woman, and then it tells you a story that happened, and it doesn't say whether it's the man or the woman who is the victim or the predator. It just says what the situation is. And through this ambiguous story, at the end of the day, at the end of the story, it asks you this questionnaire: who is the predator? Who is the victim? Which one did what? It's basically a questionnaire where you're reading it and you're taking the questionnaire at the end of it. And at the end of it, you don't have access to the story anymore. You just have access to your memories and recollection and assumption of the story. So when they ask you who's the victim, the story doesn't tell you if it's the man or the woman who's the victim. It doesn't tell you if it's the man or the woman who's the predator. At the end of the day, nearly everybody assumed that the male was the predator and the woman was the victim. Meanwhile, the story itself is a real story based on true life events. They're actually very famous stories. But they don't say whether it's a man or a woman, and in most of those cases, they actually pick a story where it's a woman, just so they can show the point. Now, one of the things about the ambiguous story is that it's for different scenarios. And some of them, for example, when they talk about somebody poisoning their spouse, that version of the ambiguous story, people usually guess that it's the woman who poisoned her husband, because statistically, that's true. A woman is less likely to want to make a mess, both when committing a murder as well as when committing suicide. That's why one of the most popular places for a woman to kill herself is in the bathtub. Draw yourself a bubble bath and say goodbye, you know? Someone calling themselves Misty DOI. Tight, hi, how are you? Still breathing? It looks like my connection was lost there for a bit.